Hi everyone, my name is Greg Ellis and welcome to our third installment of Redskin Review. Tonight's show is being taped on Tuesday, September 6th, and tonight's show we'll talk about, among other things, the Redskins' 34-0 win over Milford in Week 2, and we'll talk about the Game 3 at home this week against Lakota West. And with me, as always, is my partner Dan Albers, Coach Vince Suriano, and tonight our special guest is wide receivers coach Mike Cook. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, let's go ahead and jump into the game, the Milford game, on the road against Milford. I didn't go to the game. Dan did the game by himself, by the way. But Dan says team looked strong. We got the ball the first possession, drove right down the field and scored on the first possession.
Right, we did. I thought our kids came to play. We were very intense. We played with a high level of emotion, played very hard, and we played how we feel we need to play to be successful. And I just like the way our team took it to them. We weren't apprehensive at all. We were very aggressive, and it showed in the statistics and in the score of the game. We had 413 yards total offense. We had 326 yards rushing. Anytime you do that, you're going to win the football game. They only had 35 yards rushing, 66 passing, so they had 101 total yards. And it's been a long time since we've held anyone to about 100 yards. And, I was really worried going in because they really spread the field and they nickel and dime teams to death with their passing game. And then when you lay back and play the pass, then they'll hit a quick trap or a draw or some kind of counter on you and giving some teams some fits. And so I was a little bit worried about that going in, but our defensive kids really stepped up. And then we controlled the line of scrimmage. We took the opening drive and went right down the field and scored and just dominated the line of scrimmage. And we were pretty much able to do whatever we wanted in the running game. And, Brandon threw 10 passes and then our twos come in and threw a couple passes, but we were 11 of 12 passing, and Brandon was 10 for 10 passing. So, we were really happy with our performance, and it made Saturday morning video sessions a lot. The mood was naturally upbeat, and the kids were a lot happier, obviously, than the first week. But I was happy with the improvement. I thought we made improvement from the scrimmage at Lakota East to the Oak Hills game, from the Oak Hills game to the Milford game. Now, if we can continue to do that, we're going to be a pretty good team. That remains to be seen.
Junior Jake Davis had another great game, 150 yards, I believe he had on offense, rushing,
right.
And two straight nice games. So Jake looks like falling in line with the rest of the history of the good running backs we've had here at Anderson.
Yeah, and besides that, we are running the football a little more. We've gone back to being a little more run-oriented. We rushed the ball 51 times and only threw 12 passes. So he's going to get that yardage, but you've got to be durable. And Elijah Story came in and played some at tailback and did a nice job for a sophomore. Kyle Welling had a concussion, so he wasn't able to play. Jake's been bothered with some low back problems, and so we played him for about 2-3 series and then took him out a little bit, rested him, put Elijah in the game, and he did real well. So, our tailback's going to carry the mail. So, they've got to be durable, and we've got to have 2 or 3 ready to go.
Brandon Taylor, again, with a great game, 10 for 10, as you said, passing. He also ran the ball well. Also, he scored a touchdown, and I don't know if we have a clip of yes, we do. What is this? Brandon Taylor down to the 1, I think.
Yeah, we're running our quarterback power there, and he does a nice job of tucking it away and following the guard up through the hole.
Coach Cook, I can't pronounce his name. Is it Jahan Ollier? Is that how you pronounce it?
Correct.
He had a real good game against Oak Hills. He scored a touchdown on a pass from Brandon the other night, and he's really developed. He's a junior as well.
It's nice to get a move in like that. He's a big, tall kid, and he's just starting to become accustomed to a little bit of our passing game. And each week he's gotten better, and he did have the touchdown catch this week, but he also had 2 passes that would have moved the chains for us, but they were called back because of penalties there in the second quarter. So he had a good night for us.
So he moved in over the summer, or how'd that work out?
Correct. We knew that they were looking to move into the area back in the late spring, and he made the decision, or the family made the decision to move to Anderson. It's a nice surprise for us.
Good.
Coach, we talked about the physical aspect of the team and much stronger, and I thought the defense looked physical and led by, I thought, your QB pressure you had, and JT Shelton had a great game.
Right. JT, what we did for this game was we wanted to get some fast pressure off the edge. So they did very little inside as far as their passing game. And we felt that we could get JT out on the edge. So we moved him from nose out to a defensive end, and we switched he and Rob Sunday because Rob weighs a little more physical in there, playing the quarterback draw up inside, where we thought we could get better pass rush from JT. There we had a little in move in with him, and he took the B gap, which is the guard tackle gap, and went in there and sacked the quarterback. But we thought we could use his athleticism and his speed, and it really worked because their tackle had a tough time blocking him off the edge. You take a kid like that, you put him down, and he's got some good speed, and we had him on one side and Evan Mextroth on the other, and then Robbie Sunday in the middle. So we got pretty good pass rush from those three.
Is it a difficult thing for those guys to change, or is it pretty interchangeable?
No, because in practice they work all three positions. Now, there's a little bit of difference because when you're playing nose, you're getting blocked by the center and both guards, at different times, where at the edge, you've only got to contend with one blocker, basically, unless they put a tight end in, and this team didn't have any tight end. They had no tight end pass game or run game, so we figured, hey, let's put him on the edge and get some pressure from the outside.
Last week against Oak Hills, they seemed to have a little bit of success throwing the ball, and it seemed like this week the defensive backs did a great job of covering, and I thought they did an outstanding job compared from week 1 to week 2.
Right. First of all, our coaching staff did a great job in game planning. Jeff Geesting, the defensive coordinator, was here last week. They came up with an excellent defensive game plan, and if you watch that game and you watch the videotape, the receivers, there just wasn't any place to throw. The receivers were covered. And then we were able to get pressure. Anytime you can get pressure with 4 people, bring maybe one linebacker and drop 7, that's a pretty good percentage for you defensively. And that's what we were able to do. We were able to get pressure with 3 and 4 guys. Very rarely did we have to bring 5 and 6. So therefore, we were able to drop underneath in the zones and cover them up and double cover some people by playing 2 high safeties and playing a little bit of man underneath with the 2 safeties over top. And so we were able to do some of those things that really helped us out defensively. And the kids played better. They learned a little bit from some of the mistakes that they made in the Oak Hills game. And like you said, Oak Hills threw the ball on us fairly well, and that was a concern of mine. That's why I was worried going in. But we really worked hard during the week of defending their patterns, and thought we had a pretty good, idea, and the kids had a good concept and feel for what they were trying to do and defended it pretty well.
The big thing too was that 2 weeks in a row, I think that it's showing just leaps and bounds the strength that you guys have, because their running game was really ineffective.
Yeah, 35 yards, just 35 yards. And any time that you can make a team one-dimensional, whether it be passing or running, then you stand a pretty good chance to win, because you know what they're going to do, and you can make your adjustments accordingly. But 35 yards rushing, put us pretty much in the driver's seat defensively.
Were you happy with the limited mistakes and penalties that you had from the first week compared to the second week?
Yeah, really, we cut down on the mistakes. There were very, very few mistakes, if any. And, some of the penalties, we had very few penalties.
No turnovers.
No turnovers. That was big. No turnovers, and very few penalties. I think we had a defensive holding penalty on a run, which I had never heard of in 32 years of coaching. And I told the official that. I just didn't know really what that was. And
defensive holding
on a run play. And then we had an interference call, but I really thought our kid was really going for the ball, and that was very questionable. But other than that, we really limited our miscues.
The special teams, I thought, played well too.
Special teams have played very well both games. And we've done something a little different in our practice structure, where instead of just practicing special teams, we practice it right along with the team period. So it's just like the transition of a game.
This is Nick Weeks returning that punt.
Yeah, Nick trying to get to the wall here, and Nick does a nice job of returning punts for us.
And one of the things that we saw too, after you had that big lead and going into the fourth quarter, you started playing some of the younger kids. Elijah Story played. I thought he had close to 90-something yards rushing, so I thought he did an outstanding job. But not only that, is the offensive line did a good job. Your second team offensive line did a great job too. So it was nice to see some of those kids play.
Right. And we work a lot of kids in practice, so that when that situation arises, the first thing we want to do is get all our seniors in the game, then start playing our young kids. And like I said, we work a lot of kids in practice, and for that given situation, and we want to get them in the game and get them game experience.
I know Kyle Geesting is the backup, I guess, quarterback, but we saw
Matt Manor.
Was that planned, or was that just something you don't? How does that?
It's kind of that situation. You've got Kyle starting on defense. You're winning by 34 points. You don't want to take a chance of putting him in the quarterback when the game's well in hand, and then something happens to him, and then you lose a starter on defense. So, and Matt's been doing a nice job in practice. So, we just thought, and that's kind of what we'll do. Really, I mean, if we've got the game in hand, and there's no sense in putting Kyle in there, and when you've got the game under control and you're going to win, and so we'll give the sophomore a little bit of experience because Kyle's already played the vast majority of the game as a starter on defense, so that just allows us to get more kids in the game.
Okay, so we go to 1-1 on the season, and game 3 we come home, we play against Lakota West, a strong Lakota West team who had a very good year last year.
Yeah, they're coming off a real good year, and one in which they went to the state playoffs, and they've got probably about half of those players returning, although they did lose some of their key players. But right now they're sitting at 0-2, but it's a very deceiving 0-2 because they lost in the opener to a very, very good Mason team, 33-22, and then they lost to Winton Woods, who's number 2 in the city in Division 2 through 5. It's a tremendously fast team. They lost to them 38-10, and then we watched them in the scrimmage with Elder, and they went toe-to-toe with Elder. And we all know that Elder's a great football program. And when you watch those games, the Mason and Winton Woods game, they give all those teams everything they want. And of course, the Mason game could have really went either way with a couple plays here and there. The Mason game for them was very similar to our Oak Hills game. A couple plays changed here and there, and the outcome of the game changes. And one thing that I noticed is how hard and how physical Lakota West plays. They are a very, very physical football team. Offensively, they are running from the I formation, and of course they have the premier wide receiver of the city of Cincinnati and Josh Chichester, who is 6'6", 210, who's already verbally committed to Ohio State. He is going to be a handful for us Friday night. Dustin Huff is their quarterback, number 11, who does a great job of getting the ball. But in their I formation, they run the fullback as much as they run the tailback, and they run a lot of option. It's not the same type of option that Coleraine runs or Winton Woods. It's more of what we call belly option, where the fullback runs off tackle, and it's either a give or a pull based on the defense. Sometimes it's a call, sometimes it's a read. They run a lot of belly option, a lot of ISO with the tailback running and the fullback leading. They do a good job in the passing game, but they are primarily a run team first, probably 65-70% run, 25-30%, 35% pass. Defensively, they have changed. They have been a 50 defensive team or a 3-4 defensive team for years, and they have changed now to a pro 4-3 defense. They have 2 or 3 coaches on their team that have been ex-NFL players that have played for the Bengals. And I think they were far more familiar with the 4-3, so they've gone to the 4-3, and they really do a pretty good job of it. There's a lot of things in their 4-3 that has NFL flavor.
You mentioned Chichester. He's been a thorn in our side for 2 years now.
Yeah.
I remember when he was a star when he was a sophomore.
Right.
How do you prepare for a guy that size?
Well, you can't get any taller.
Right.
So you try to do some things schematically maybe to get some help where he's lined up, and try to go from there and get some help. Also, it helps if you can get pressure on the quarterback because he's not quite as accurate when he has people in his face. So, those are 2 elements. You can try to do some things with your pass coverage, or you can try to do some things to get pressure on the quarterback to, break his rhythm and throw in the timing routes to Chichester.
What do you think are some of the keys to the game?
Definitely controlling the football. I think the team that can control the football has a great chance of winning the game because we're both ball control type offenses. The team that doesn't give up too many big plays, because Chichester makes some big plays.
Yes, he does.
If we can limit him, You're not going to ever completely stop a great player, but if you can just limit them and then take away some of the other things that they do offensively, that'll help. The other thing is we've got to be able to control the football like we have, you know, in the Oak Hills game, at least for the first half and some of the third quarter. And then how we did at Milford, you know, where we had the ball 63 plays, if I remember right. You know, and Milford had the ball like 35 plays. There was a huge discrepancy in time of possession, and that has got to be in our favor Friday night.
We're going to give Mike Cook finally some airtime here. And Mike, we want to know, everybody wants to know when you first came to Anderson and how long you've been there.
First came to Anderson, I believe, was in the fall of
97.
97. And Joey Sherrill, that was my first player that I got to coach. So I coached a good one that year when I was coaching the running backs. So I've been with Vince. This is going on 9 years. I was at Covington Holmes for 4 prior to that.
When you do the game plans and everything, how much input do you have with the offensive coordinator? How much, you know, do you have a lot of say-so, not a lot of say-so? How does that go?
I get to aggravate him a lot.
No, actually, in fairness to Mike, he is our passing guru. Like when we game plan, we all kind of set up the base runs and base passes that we're going to run, and then we all do the formations of what plays we were going to run out of what formations. But then we situationalize everything, and Mike really, Cookie really does the third and medium, the third and long passing game. He has a lot of input in the second and long passing game. He's our guy that I call the passing guru, really. He's the one when we go, okay, you know, Cookie, we're in Sunday meetings. Cookie, what do you like in the third down passing game? And, you know, and we go through and he offers suggestions. Sometimes he comes up with some different ideas, maybe something we don't have in the playbook that we need to put in this week. But he, you know, he's the guy that really orchestrates our passing game.
I'm Spurrier and he's Woody Hayes.
Yeah, kind of works that way.
You said earlier that you were the running backs coach when you first got. Is there any other position coach that you had, or has it just been those two running backs?
Just those two, and just being a fan of the passing game. When we jumped to the spread
2000.
in 2000, kind of seemed like an appropriate time to go to the passing game, for me to go to the receivers. Didn't really want to coach just one person. So.
Do you have a game or practice time? Is there a lot of one-on-one time, or what do you do with the wide receivers as far as that goes?
It's segmented where we work a lot of individual, come to group, and then we'll go one-on-one versus the DBs, but everything else is segmented with the game plan in mind.
Put you on a spot a little bit. Who's probably one of the best receivers that you remember having there at Anderson?
I've had some good ones, and some that are very dear to my heart. But I'd have to go with Matt Mullinax. He's just one of the hardest working kids I've ever ran across. And Mike Moreland, wherever he's at, he always made me smile.
Yeah.
So.
The questions we've always asked all the coaches, we want to know what's your most memorable moment at Anderson High School.
The team that we took to the pit was a good environment. Even though we came up a little short that night, that was an exciting night and great atmosphere, and it was a good team to take over there. And just the kids in general is what's been the highlight of being here.
That was a great night.
Yeah, that was. One other question. Is it hard, like when you've had receivers like you've had in the past, you've had a lot of group of seniors that were there for your junior, senior year, they leave. Is it hard to get those, you know, you got your juniors and your sophomores trying to find that good mix for your quarterback? And
well, this is a tough year. It's probably a good time for us to be a run-dominated team because last year we lost 4. I started 4 seniors, and we were kind of throwing it all across the yard a bit. And the one receiver that we had coming back with some experience has been injured. So any receiver that's going to the game, that's really their first true varsity fire that they walk through.
Okay. Coach, you got a Where Are They Now player for us to talk about tonight?
Today we're going to talk about Joey Sherrill, the 1997 tailback, one of the premier running backs that we've had at Anderson High School. Went on to Ohio University to play fullback, and in their wishbone style with Jim Grobe. Played there for 4 years, was a 4-year letterman at Ohio University. Graduated, and now he's in graduate school at the University of Cincinnati. and he's doing very well. He still looks like he could play, and you can probably still strike a match on him. But Joey was a very quiet kid, but boy, he could run the football. He was tough. He was physical. Had great physical talent. He might be one of the greatest physically talented players that I've ever coached. You know, Jason Druso was a tremendous athlete. You know, I'd have to say Joey Sherrill ranks right up in there.
Was he a DB when he was a junior?
He was a DB when he was a junior.
Yeah.
We had P.J. Sciano and Ryan Josefowski were the tailbacks on the '96 team that went 9-2. And then Joey was kind of the red zone back that year. We'd get inside the 20 and get that big back in there and put him in. And then when he was a senior, it was his show. But he played a lot at running back as a junior. We would get him in the game. But
I know he was quick.
When he was a senior, it was his show, and he was the man.
There you go. From the Milford game, anybody get hurt? Any injuries to talk about?
No really serious injuries. A couple guys with some bumps and bruises and some minor sprains, but we're hoping that, you know, we should get everybody back for Friday. You know, we've had a couple kids that have come. We've held out of practice for 2 days, but it's nothing. It's really serious or any surgical type injuries or anything like that. You know, we should be pretty healthy come Friday night, and we should basically have, you know, everybody, knock on wood, you know, as long as somebody doesn't get hurt or sprain something during the course of the week now.
Great. We should have a great crowd there. The weather's been great.
Yeah.
How'd the JV and freshman teams do this week? Okay,
the freshmen were beaten 16-12 by Milford, and our JVs won 26-0. Okay. JVs played really, really well Saturday. It was a good Friday-Saturday combo for us, and we shut them both out. Good. So, you know, we were really happy with that. And kids just played hard this week. They were up. So
good.
Getting ready to wind things down, and like we always end at the show, we're going to do our players of the game this week. And offensively, we selected Brandon Taylor, who was 10 for 10, had 80-something yards rushing and a touchdown. So Brandon Taylor is our offensive player of the game. Defensive player of the game was J.T. Shelton, who we talked about earlier in the show. And then our special team is going to be Blake Bruns. Made some nice tackles, had a nice block, I believe. So those are our special teams, offense, defensive players of the game. We have shirts for the coach to give to the players. We forgot to give them to him last week, so if you can hand those out for us, would be greatly appreciated. And we also, this is the thing that we had last year that we had for the Spirit Award for Mr. Ellis, Greg's father, that we wanted to hand out. Last year we gave it to Vince Palmer, and we would like you to hang this up somewhere in the football area to let the kids see, and we're going to try to every year have a kid win it, and so this, hopefully we can let the kids see that, and every year we can have a winner. And last year, like we said, is Vince Palmer was our winner, so hopefully we can keep this tradition going on and let the kids see how important that Mr. Ellis was to the Anderson community.
Sure. This will go up in our locker room, and we'll go from there. The kids are going to want to get on this.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
Very good. You'd be very proud to know it's there.
And also, we'd like to thank, we have 2 sponsors that we know of right now. We have some other ones that we sent out that have said that they will sponsor. John Walters with Midwest EXP and the Anderson Football Moms have been just absolutely tremendous to us to bring us these shows that we've had every week. And I have 2 other people that said they're going to sponsor us, so we'll hopefully get those, you know, sponsors as well. So
if we win more games, we'll get more sponsors.
Need to keep winning. We're about out of time. Coach Cook, thanks for joining us tonight. We enjoyed having you.
Thanks for having me.
And Coach, good luck to both of you Friday night.
Thank you.
And about it. Anything else, Danny?
No, that's about it.
Okay, for Danny Albers, for Vince Suriano, for Mike Cook, I'm Greg Ellis. Thanks for joining us this week on Redskin Review.